What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my Minecraft 1.18 survival let's play. We are standing here in front of the storage building we built in the last episode, as well as the item pipeline we started to put together. But for today's episode, we are going to work on moving the villagers over to the valley. So a few episodes ago, we went over the West Mountains and traded with some of the villagers to acquire mending. Well, I've used all of the mending books that we had, and so I'm really needing some more. But I'm thinking the better decision is going to be to just go ahead and bring a couple villagers from the village back to the valley, set up a villager breeder, and then we will have an endless supply of villagers, and we can set up their professions once we get them to the valley. So to start off, we're going to head over to the village and grab a couple of villagers and work on bringing them into the valley. All right, now we are back to the village. I think the best bet on moving the villagers is going to be taking a boat and using the boat to get them down this first little cliff here. Then I brought along supplies to build a rail track because of the mountain over here and the fact that we're in a valley surrounded by pretty tall mountains. I think our best bet is going to be digging down a few blocks and then building a rail line that goes over to our valley. So we have one villager right there that will go ahead and take that guy. And even though we've traded with a few and got some trades started, we want to take villagers who have no profession and that we've never traded with. And I think that we should have at least one other around here. And the reason we want to do that is because, here we go. So the reason we want to take villagers that we have never traded with is because one of them is going to become a farmer and the other villager is going to not have a profession. And so there we go. We got this guy in a boat, and even though he is a leather worker, we haven't traded with him yet, so we will be able to undo his profession and change him to a farmer. So we're just going to use this boat to get him safely down the first hill. And we're able to go down the hill without taking any fall damage. But these path blocks are causing a little bit of issue here. Let's see if we can... Oh, that is not what we want. Okay, no. Let's see if we can get the leather worker back into our boat. Where did he go? I'm not sure. Oh, wow. Okay, well, he went all the way down the hill for us already, which works out super well. So we can just run down here and get these guys to go into the boat, hopefully with no problems. All right, now we have both of our villagers safely in the boat, and I think we're going to start the minecart track down in this little ravine right here. We'll take it down a few blocks. Right now we're at 96. Our valley is around 140, I believe. So we'll drop it down to maybe 80 or so. And that way, hopefully we can get all the way into the valley without having to go above ground. But I'm going to go ahead, get started digging that tunnel, laying down the minecart tracks. And then once I've got that done, we will get the villagers traveling over to the valley. We now have the first part of the tunnel dug. We got it going right there, and it goes about 550 blocks in that direction, which is a pretty long minecart track. We should be able to cover it. We're gonna take both of the villagers to kind of the corner, the turning point. Then I'll pick up some of the rails and we'll take them only about 200 blocks or so that direction. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use a bubble column to get the villagers from underground up into the valley. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay down those rails, get these guys to the corner, and then we will check back in on the progress. There we go. We've got the 2 villagers safely to the corner, and now we can start digging our way this way, but we have a slight problem. So I started to dig, I came across this huge pointed dripstone cave. For one, it's super cool. Like this, there's so many different like dripstone formations in here. It's really awesome. But the only issue is it's going to be kind of difficult to get the villagers through here. So we might have to deviate from the straight path just a little bit, but we'll see what we can do, and we'll get them over to the correct z-axis, and then we will start working on the bubble column, and then we will get the villagers up into the valley. And here we are at the bubble column, and now I'm just going to build a little bit of a tunnel to force the villagers that way, and we're going to use water to help funnel them towards the bubble column. So we're just going to go ahead and place down the water source here. Carefully break the rails and the mine carts. Oh, that guy took a little bit of damage. Come on. Let's see if we can get him to go into the... There we go. And now we'll go up with them. And hopefully when we get to the top, yes, we have 2 healthy villagers. That took a very long time, but that's okay. Let's see if we can get this guy back in a minecart just to be safe. We might get him to go back in there. If not, it's no big deal. We've got them in this stone box, and we are pretty much right in the middle of the valley. If we jump out here, there is our starter house up the hill just a little bit, and an Enderman who's going crazy over here. So now that we have the 2 villagers up here in the valley, we're going to clear out a few of these trees and begin to put together the village breeder, which will also be their new permanent home. So let's go ahead, cut down a few trees, and then we'll get started building that village breeder. And there we go. We've got the villager breeder all put together, and I actually changed the orientation of this. At first we had it over in this direction, but it got way too close to the retaining wall, so I went ahead and flipped it around this way, and this thing is working really well. There's already, oh, there we go. We just got a full-grown villager. It looks like he might be stuck because of the babies, so we might have to figure that out. But we've got a bunch in there, one guy already grown up there, and I've got this turned off with this sticky piston right here because that's already way more villagers than we need for now. But the way that this works is we've got a farm villager and then a regular villager, and I'll turn this on just for now so maybe we can see it in action. But what happens is the farmer takes care of all of these carrots, and over time they will pass carrots back and forth to each other and eventually create a baby villager. The baby villagers want to jump on the beds, so they run this way through the little trapdoor area we have and attempt to jump on the bed. When they can't reach the bed, they fall into the water stream and they end up over here. And then right here is supposed to be where, when they're babies, they don't reach this water stream right here. But it's looking like it's not working exactly, so I'll have to take a look at that. But this is going to bring up the grown villagers who should end up right here. And then down here we have a dispenser full of mine carts, and all we have to do is push that button and it'll grab out a villager for us. Now, this is not my design of a villager breeder. Honestly, I wouldn't know where the first place to start would be if I was doing this by myself. This is a design by Logical Geek Boy, and it's pretty simple. Does not require too many technical aspects, but hopefully this will breed us enough villagers. I'm sure that we'll end up with more than enough, and I am going to go ahead and add a roof to this. We don't want any mobs getting inside the carrot farm and taking out our 2 villagers. I'm also thinking about maybe extending this landscape here to kind of come over and potentially cover up part of the villager breeder, so it's not all just exposed like this. But I'm definitely going to put a roof on the carrot farm portion of the breeder, and I would like to make it to where we can drop these guys underground and build a little bit of a storage area where we can zombify them and change them back so we get the discounted trades, and also set up a place where we can cycle through the trades until we find what we want. And then once we're done over here putting this together the roof and maybe some terraforming over here. We're going to add in a few houses along this area here, and I'll show you on the map. So we have this path that goes in front of the retaining wall, which is basically right where we're standing, and I'd like to fill up this side with several different houses that are for the villagers and their different types of professions. So we might have like a library and maybe a tool smith and stuff like that. But here we'll hop over here. Got to see the hearts going, so we can see this thing in action. They threw some carrots back and forth, and they've got the hearts going. Oh, looks like we got the storm clouds, which means I think we've reached the villager capacity for this village that we've created with the 4 beds and the 1 workstation. So we will have to get some of these guys moved out of the way, and hopefully over there will be far enough so that this can continue to produce villagers. Let's see if it works this time. No, so yeah, we'll try to move those out of the way, and let's go ahead and get the roof on this thing, and maybe think about moving some of this hillside over a little bit, and then we will build at least 1 villager house in this episode. So let's work on the roof for the carrot farm. And after adding a roof and taking the roof off, I realized that for some reason when there is a roof over the farm, it causes the villagers not to breed. So we went ahead and tore that roof down. We'll have to keep thinking about different ideas on how to do that. Also, I don't know what happened, but there were 4 adult villagers over here and they're gone now, but that's all right. We've got two babies in there, and hopefully we'll get a few more babies here pretty soon. But I'm gonna go through and add in a little bit of glass just to make it to where we can see the villagers, and hopefully we can figure out something to do about the roof. If not, we may just leave this open, which isn't the end of the world. I don't think that looks too bad. But the next step is we're going to head over towards the retaining wall and begin to build some of the villager houses. I think we'll start off with maybe 2 or 3, and we definitely need 1 for the librarians, and maybe we'll also do weaponsmiths or toolsmiths next. We could also do farmers or fletchers, so we have an easy way to trade emeralds with either sticks or some type of crop. So let's go ahead and lay out the outline for a couple of these houses, and then we will get started building. There we go. We've got the outline of the first 3 villager houses laid out, and I went ahead and put down the block palette that I am wanting to do for each of the houses. So this first one is going to be spruce, cobblestone, and andesite. The second one is dark oak, smooth basalt, and tough. And then the last one's going to be spruce, cobbled deep slate, and tough. And so we're going to go ahead and get these built up, and we're going to do it via a time lapse. So let's go ahead and get started working on these villager houses. There we go. We've got the villager houses all put together, and I went ahead and did a little bit of decorating on the outside. I also did some of the interior work, and what I did with the doors here is we have a regular door mainly for aesthetic purposes, and then a double trapdoor which you can't walk through unless you crouch. So that way the villagers are able to freely walk throughout their house, but they cannot get out of the building, keeping them safe. And in here we have a couple librarians. We have a looting librarian for our sword, and we have a mending librarian because we need to get mending on all of our armor and some of our other tools. So that's what's going on in there. And then over here we have some Fletchers, same type of door setup so they can just walk around. And we have the Fletchers for the stick trades, and as you can see, I've traded quite a bit with all three of those guys to get some emeralds, but that is looking good. And then over here we haven't done anything with the interior quite yet. We just have one villager who's just hanging out in a minecart. But I think that's where we're going to leave it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this. This episode was a lot of work, so if you liked it, please hit that like button. I had a lot of fun putting it together, and make sure to tune back in next week for the next episode. And if you would, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.